Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, April 22nd. This is Gina Palma. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation mainly across the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, especially across Idaho, northeast Nevada, northern Utah, into Wyoming, which has been well above normal for the time of year. Very dry conditions, however, have persisted over southern and eastern areas of the Great Basin, and also into parts of western Nevada and the Sierra over the last 2 weeks. Looking at the snowfall over the last 72 hours, we do have a storm system currently moving through the Great Basin, and it has brought precipitation over the last 24 hours to the eastern half of the region, with snowfall in the higher terrain of central Utah and further north up into Idaho and Wyoming. Most areas saw between about a tenth and a half inch of precipitation over the last 24 hours. However, some areas over northern Utah and eastern Nevada saw over an inch of precipitation. The current snow depth is also in the picture on the right. However, looking at the current snowpack, you can see all areas of the Great Basin are still above normal for the time of year, especially across the Sierra, into Nevada and Utah, which is well above normal and above 150 to 180% of normal. Looking at the satellite loop from this morning, again, we do have that storm system currently moving eastward across the eastern half of the Great Basin today. This will cause clouds and showers over mainly Utah and also parts of the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada. We have a ridge of high pressure moving into the northwest, which will bring drier and warmer conditions to the Great Basin from west to east starting today. We also saw quite a bit of lightning yesterday with the storm system across Utah and parts of the Arizona Strip and far southern Nevada, and again, this storm system will continue to track to the east. Looking at the weather pattern for later today, this storm system again will continue to slide east and south, continuing with some showers today across mainly Utah and the Arizona Strip. However, drier and warmer conditions over the rest of the Great Basin. We will have north to northeast flow across much of the region, especially the southern half of the Great Basin, which will allow for good dispersion. Looking at the transport winds, you can see these gusty north to northeast winds, especially over the southern and eastern half of Nevada into Utah, with gusts above 30 miles per hour. We'll also see some gusty winds along the Sierra and Sierra front today. Mixing heights will remain relatively high over most areas of the Great Basin. As we move into Tuesday, the storm system pushes further to the south and east with the ridge of high pressure moving into the Great Basin, so temperatures will continue warming through this week, and by the middle of the week we'll see temperatures 15 degrees or more above normal across much of the Great Basin. We will have a storm track further north on Tuesday, so we will see some clouds and maybe a few light showers across Idaho, however otherwise drying conditions in most areas. We'll continue with that north to northeasterly flow, keeping dispersion good over the southern half of the Great Basin. However, under that ridge of high pressure, with the lighter winds, we will see dispersion decrease over much of the northern and western areas. The transport winds also show that picture with those breezy northeast winds over the Arizona Strip, southern Utah and southern Nevada, and much lighter winds elsewhere. Mixing heights will remain high in the east and south and will be decreasing as that ridge of high pressure moves in and we start to see more morning inversions across northern and western areas of the basin. On Wednesday, we have generally westerly flow with the ridge of high pressure dominating. We may see some clouds and possibly even a few thunderstorms develop over parts of northwestern and western Nevada into parts of far southwest Idaho on Wednesday. These right now look to be more widely scattered, but again, that potential is there for some lightning activity on Wednesday. Otherwise, dispersion will remain poor under that ridge of high pressure across much of Nevada into western Utah, and a little bit better near the storm track further north up into Idaho and Wyoming. On Wednesday, you can see again those light winds with that poor dispersion over much of the southern two-thirds of the Great Basin, and a little bit more breezy winds across Idaho and Wyoming, again closer to where the storm track is. Mixing heights will remain high or moderate across most areas of the Great Basin and only a little bit lower in the far north. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah over the next few days, it's no surprise with those breezy northeast winds that clearing indices will remain high over much of southern Utah over the next 2 days, and then looks like it will improve over the eastern areas as we move into Wednesday, but be deteriorating across western parts of the state towards the middle of the week as those winds really start to decrease. Forecast amounts of precipitation, again, most of that precipitation today will be across Utah, into the Arizona Strip and southern and eastern Nevada, and we're only expecting light amounts of precipitation. However, there may be some more lightning activity today. As we move into Thursday, we're still dominated by the ridge of high pressure, with maybe just some clouds and a few isolated showers over northern areas on Thursday, but very minimal precipitation. Just warming temperatures. Again, we'll see those temperatures 10 to 15 degrees or more above normal across the Great Basin from mid to late week. Dispersion will remain good across the region. On Friday, we do have a storm system dropping down into the northern Rockies, which will clip Idaho, Wyoming, and northern Utah. We may see temperatures decrease a little bit on Friday in the north and maybe some breezier winds, along with some clouds. However, most of the heavier precipitation will be well off to our east. And again, we'll have good dispersion in the north. We may still see some areas of poor dispersion further south under those lighter winds. On Saturday, that main storm system in the north moves further east into the plains with dry weather and continued warm temperatures across the Great Basin. We will see an area of low pressure here off the west coast, which will continue moving eastward and approach the region for early next week. Otherwise, we'll see some poor dispersion in the north and central areas of the basin, again under that very light wind flow. Later in the weekend, as that next storm system approaches the west coast, we'll start to see some clouds and maybe even interact with a system up north to bring some showers, mainly across Idaho and Wyoming. Otherwise, mainly just cloud cover further south on Sunday. But however, as that storm system moves across into early next week is where we'll see precipitation spread across the Great Basin. So looking at precipitation from Thursday through early Saturday, only precipitation up in the north as those systems clip Idaho and Wyoming. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us into the very end of April and the first week of May, shows above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation for the Great Basin. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.